Okay, so after going through the design by elimination, by figuring out where I can't do gardens of any type, I decided along this chain link fence, on the other side is a tennis court, on this side, nothing really happens. And so I think I'm gonna plant some kind of perennial garden up in here. So the first thing to do is take a look at the base map. Whoop. Sorry, windy day. This little area on the base map is not specific enough to really design for. And so, like always, I use screenshots and print things out liberally. And so what I did is I just zoomed in. I mean, I actually even fell in a mud puddle, but that's gonna be fine, because I'll just take notes to redo this area. This is that fence, specifically with the design specifications that I need in order to design well. So like, how long is the fence? I'll figure that out versus how big I want to blow up the map, and then I'll create a new scale bar. And then this table that's here, right there, I'll figure out exactly how far that is away from the fence so that I make sure that I don't block a walking path between the two, and that if people are using the table, it's not like there's plants all up in their business. And yeah, so I'll just redo this. I'll scribble on this with a pencil and take this back and redo a specific base map just for this one area. So the messy paper from the field with some exact measurements for what I really need here, read and scale bar, and then I just clean that up quite a bit for a new base map for that area. And what did I decide to plant? Well, there's some time-tested natives, edibles, medicinals. I think I'm doing elderberry, yarrow under that, with a bunch of plants that can be dug up, all potentially at the same time if needed, like sunchokes, wild onions, and peanuts for nitrogen fixation. So most of those are really valuable to people of Cherokee descent, and there's a lot of Cherokee citizens in this town. Also peanuts, or George Washington Carver, his birthplace isn't too far from here at the Southern Museum. So there's all these like cultural tie-ins, which I think will be interesting if anybody else wanted to do a project with signage and walking path here. Plus all of those foods, or all of those plants, can be really resilient and can be propagated so that they can be easily spread throughout town too. If someone wants to come and get some sunchokes or wild onions, like, yeah, for sure. So now that I've got that nice scale bar down, what I actually like to do when I'm drawing out plants is look around for random objects on my desk. And this one, I found this wrench perfectly matched the size of those elderberry trees. And, you know, like I threw on the earring and the bracelet just for like random other objects that were around. Sometimes lids of different sizes are super helpful, but that makes the design drawing part go faster if you've got different objects that represent different sizes. I'm also going to take a picture just here, just like this, except for without me. And that's how I'm going to do my side view, is I'll make this all into grayscale. Black and white, and then I'll draw on that image in color, and that's basically the side view. So I chose to do something here, which is to use the color from the overhead map on the side view. Clearly, like in real life, the whole plant of the elderberry is not blue and purple, the whole plant of the sunchoke is not orange, but it's a symbol, and so I just chose to go with it with the side view as well. But you could also choose to make it look more like the plant. Okay, so there's designing on paper, which you're familiar with, and then there's also what I've seen some people who just know plants really well do, which is to take the plants as they pull them out of the nursery and just place them in the spot they know they're gonna grow, and they'll fit, and they'll be working with the other plants because they've got it all, you know, worked out in their head. And so as intermediate step to that, especially when you're not sure if things are gonna fit correctly, is to actually take objects that will represent the different plants and the size or the shape or whatever you're trying to conceptualize, and put those in the place where you will be planting the garden. So you'll see me do a time lapse basically of just like, okay, this ladder gets about as big as an elderberry tree. How will that look here? Will that feel too crowded? This chair will be the size of a bush, you know, that kind of thing. So garden hoses are handy for that, or electrical cords, just to like, how will that edge of the garden interact with all the other spaces? So I'm a big fan of just laying that kind of stuff out and seeing how it looks in the field too. So yeah, in my head, that ladder went much closer to the table, but in reality, that was way too crowded. So I moved the ladder over and moved a cooler over to represent some yarrow, and that helped me with the actual placement of how it would feel in the field.